Hello, everyone. My name is Bryan Cantero. I'm going to be presenting on Mexican American Corridista students resisting educational oppression through corridos. I'm a student at Cal State Dominguez Hills in Chicano Studies and being mentored by Dr. Benavides Lopez. So the purpose of the study is to, one, showcase Mexican American male student experiences in higher ed, and two, showcase corridista resistance in higher education, and three, to showcase corridista identity and what that means and looks like. So sort of the historical significance, right? American Paredes mentions that with origins in the 1910 Mexican Revolution, corridos are musical ballads that often depict border conflict and resistance to Anglo dominance. And so this is sort of like the mind space, right? And how I'm using corridos, right, as a resistance to Anglo dominance in higher ed. So the background. So when I was sort of starting to think about what I'm going to research and what and why, folks started asking me, so why Latino males, right? And I think it's important to note that as of 2014, 20% Latino males earn associate's degrees or higher versus Asians, whites, or African American males, right? And so there's a need, right now for scholarship and research that addresses these numbers, right? And what can we do to have more Latino males in higher ed? So my research questions were two. The first one was, how do Mexican American male students utilize Mexican corridos as a form of resistance while in college? And two, how are corridos tools, right, for the retention of Mexican American college males? So two key terms that I've been kind of talking about. First is the corrido, right, which is a Mexican ballad depicting a story or a narrative, traditional to northern Mexico. Right? So it was historically used, again, to inform populations who were not able to read and write, right, of what was going on in the wars, right? So if I'm down in the South and something's happening in the middle of the country, right, corridos were a way to inform folks of what was going on. And you probably noticed that I used Mexican American in a different way that it's been used, traditionally, right? I use Mexican American in this way because it was important for my participants that I showcase their Mexican identity as one being much more formulated than American one, right? So I define it as a person of Mexican descent who has lived and or been raised in the U.S. with strong ties to Mexico, right? So they insist on emphasizing their Mexican identity because they still might have a family member or family members in Mexico who they visit on a regular basis, right? And they still have that connection to Mexico and to sort of Mexican culture as they understand it. So the literature review took me to three distinct places. The first one being Mexican American and Chicano education, pilot and student success, right? Racism and higher ed, educational inequity and macroaggressions, which often go, overlooked, and corridos, right, which is a chunk of my work, border conflict, corrido knowledge, right, and literary devices used in corridos. So the theoretical frameworks, again, I was in three different spaces, right, that came together to form the theoretical framework of this project. One being CRT, critical race theory, which examines race and racism in society, right? It has a commitment to social justice, which was really important to me. And it centers also people of color, right, in research and in the process, which is also important for me to do with the young people who I did this research with. Second was corridista consciousness, right? It was a theory that was formulated by Dr. De los Rios, right, which posits that young people are the counter storytellers of their community, right? And it centers border communities, and it also resists rampant anti-immigrant rhetoric, right? And I think another key point is that through corridista consciousness, young people who are avid corridos followers and corridistas understand their world and what's going on around them through the production and consumption of corridos, right? And counter spaces, right? So a safe campus space that isn't always physical. It provides a haven to build community, and it provides a place to process and respond to racism, right? So a counter space can be anywhere on campus where, let's say I'm putting on my headphones and I'm listening to corridos, and that for me is the counter space, and I can be in that space without anybody else, being or intrusive to that space. So my population research method with Mexican American males who have all either attended or graduated from a California college. They're avid corridos followers, right? So that was really important. And my research methodology was oral interviews and focus groups, right? So specifically Pláticas, right? Pláticas comes out of Chicana feminist epistemologies, right? Which tells you that in order for me to do research and work in communities, there must be a reciprocal relationship, right, between us. And I think this is really important for me to go to not just come into this community space and take knowledge, but rather create knowledge with those who are directly involved in this corrido scene in on a daily basis. So the themes are also in 3 sections. The first one being Mexican American identity, the second corridos in daily lives, and corridos as cultural citizenship. So for Mexican American identity, we'll go mention that he's from Mexico, right, from Guerrero. And so for him, that was really important to his identity and to how he understands who he is. And what it was really important, right, to sort of juxtapose where people think in terms of young Mexican American people assimilating to the U.S. He was, reinstating that, he's Mexican, like he's from Mexico. He has U.S. citizenship, but he's still from Mexico, and that was something that he really wanted to highlight. Sal said that he grew up pretty much exclusively listening to Mexican music, right? So it's what his young uncles would listen to, and it's what he would listen to, right? So there's a direct relationship between culture and trying to resist assimilation, right, while also carving out a space for young Mexican American people to have their own space in this sort of corrido music scene. And then corridos in the daily lives of my participants. James said that he felt that people bash on corridos, right? But it's like they're not understanding what it is, right? It represents life, right? And so Sal, in the same sort of light, was mentioning that for people who don't have, the opportunity, to go to college, to get an education, it's essentially what they end up having to do, right? And so he understands also that it's a circumstances of upbringing, right? And so this shows how young corridistas are able to take away messages from corridos and not necessarily, want to go and be themselves drug, kingpins or whatever, it has been said about corridos and people who listen to corridos. So corridos is cultural citizenship, which I feel is really the chunk of my research, right? So James said that being able to play at campuses is dope because, like, for the people who go there, it's the one time out of the year where they can just paisa out. And I'll get into what he means by being able to paisa out. When we talked about what he meant by being able to paisa out in that community, we came up with this definition, right? Is being able to freely and unapologetically display one's affinity and affiliation with corrido scene and culture, challenge campus climate and culture with visible outfits and attire not considered professional or traditional, and listen to corridos loudly in public university spaces, right? And I pointed that we have to create events specifically designed to cater towards young Mexican American males. So the research implications, one is to provide insight on culturally relevant methods to foster Mexican American male college student participation in academic success on college campuses, and 2, to showcase how Mexican American males understand their identity through their corridista consciousness, right, in higher ed. So this is a picture, an image of the corridistas who have performed at Dominguez Hills for the Dia de los Muertos festivities, right? I also want to note that these festivities, we have a large population of students come out and enjoy the events and also participate. We have a lot of students who participate, a lot of young Mexican American students who participate in these events and in these spaces. And so I want to thank the Mariner Scholars Program at Dominguez Hills, Dr. Benavides Lopez, who's my mentor, the young people who I interviewed, Dr. Katia Dos Rios, who came up with a sort of corridista consciousness framework, the Chicana Studies Department at Dominguez Hills, MSA, and JC Lugo.